quiet. Can you hear that? That's why I like getting up early in the morning. That is definitely one of the questions I'm asked all the time is, do you ever sleep? And my answer is, yeah, I sleep, but my sleep pattern is probably a lot different than yours. You know what? Why am I sitting in the office? I'm going to go outside. Decided to take the vlog outside out here on the lanai. So we're live from the lanai, except we're not live. Hey buddy, how are ya? I actually come out here sometimes at like 2:30 in the morning. You can still hear the birds chirping and stuff like that. And I'll update FTVLive from right here on my laptop. And it's pretty good office. It's pretty good office. Rory gets up with me. And so we first get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, at the latest 3 o'clock, and I take this little guy right here for a walk, which is good because when I first get up, my back is killing me. I mean, just killing me. And the idea that we can go for a walk for a little while loosens up my back, loosens up the muscles and everything like that. And then I come back and I sit either at my office desk or I sit out here on the lanai with my laptop. And I update the site, and I have to go through a bunch of emails, thousands of emails, and then I got to go through the text messages, the voicemails. Then I start going through the sites that I bookmarked. Okay, and what I try and do is compile the whole thing, you know, all these stories. I try and get it down to the somewhere between 14 and 20 most interesting stories of the day, and then I upload them. And usually my goal is to be uploaded by, well, my goal is definitely to be uploaded by 7:45 at the latest, but often you might see it, depending on, what time I got up, you might see it by 6:15, 6 o'clock sometimes, even, you know, I've done it at 5 sometimes. It really, there's no set time. I don't have a hard deadline. You know, if there is a hard deadline, I'd probably say it's 7:45 a.m. And let's face it, you know, I have to update because then the other blogs have to log on and steal my content and move it over to theirs. So if I don't update, then the other blogs don't really have any content. So for me, that's really what it's about. The only competition I feel like I have is with myself. Is, you know, I want to get the best stories out there, and I still look at it. I still look at the blog like a producer looks at a show. I mean, I look at a story and I think, is this interesting? And some stories, I mean, some stories aren't interesting to people. And I can look at that because the way the blog is set up now is you click on the different stories to read them. So I can look each day and see what the most popular story is, which is the least popular story, and everything else. And believe it or not, the funny thing is, almost on a daily basis, the least popular story involves cable news. Whether it's Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, I can put a story up about them, and it's almost always the least popular story on the site. But I know there's a lot of people that are interested still in cable news, and don't get me wrong, those cable news stories still get thousands and thousands of clicks and reads and stuff like that. But people come to FTVLive mainly for the news about news, and they love local news. Because let's face it, you know, how many people work at CNN, how many people work at Fox News, how many people work at MSNBC? You put that group together and then go, how many people work at a local station? There's a lot more of you local people out there. You know, even the network people and stuff like that. So local is what drives FTVLive, and that's why most often you see the cable news stuff towards the bottom, because it's the least read, and the local news is more at the top. And you can tell before the day starts, most of the time I can tell you what's going to be the most read story on FTVLive. Most of the time. Sometimes I'm surprised. I'll put a story up and I don't really try and pack the story as the most important story or going to be the most read story. Again, I try and stack the blog like a producer. You know, if I'm talking about a weatherman going here, and then the next story might be a weatherman that, you know, blew a forecast, and the next story might be a new weather vehicle. So I kind of keep the weather stuff together, and then I'll, you know, go on to whatever the stories are. So it's kind of stacked like a show, and just like a show, just like a producer, sometimes there's no rhyme and reason why one story follows the other story. And at that point, you just, you know, that's just a change, you know. That was where I would, back in my producer days, I would insert a commercial break and then come out completely new. But I don't have to do that on FTVLive, other than our great sponsors that keep FTVLive up and running. The reason you get to read FTVLive for free, and it doesn't cost you anything, is because FTVLive has great sponsors. And our sponsors, again, making money on this website is not my #1 priority. Certainly, it is my income. It is what I need to survive. It is what I live on. It is what I buy this little guy dog food for. But it is not what it's not what I live for. I've turned down a lot of money in advertising, and I guess if I was in it for just the money, of course I would take all that. I would just take that money for advertising, and but I won't do that. I look at a company, and, you know, working so long in the business and being a news director and stuff like that, I kind of know who the good people are in the business, who the bad people are in the business. I mean, there are new people popping up and stuff like that, and I research them, and they know that. I get calls, you know, from different people. I mean, a lot of agents, you see a lot of agents advertising on FTVLive, and you can know by seeing those agents' names that they're good. They're good at what they do. They're good at their job. They care and stuff like that, and that's what. And that's how they get an ad on FTVLive. Now, there are agencies that I've turned down that have asked to place an ad on FTVLive, and I've said no. There's other companies that have asked to place ads on FTVLive, and I said no. And as I said, if I was in it for just the money, I would take that, because it's a significant amount of money that I'm saying no to. But I want people to know that if you see the ad on FTVLive, if you see a sponsor on FTVLive, then you know that sponsor is good. But I love being up before the rest of the world is up. I love that morning walk when the only thing is out there is me, Rory, deer, armadillos, and birds. And that's paradise for me. It's later in the day as the world starts going and everything, you get the noise and blah blah blah. You know, after I upload FTVLive, the day's certainly far from done. Then I go back through the email stories that I need to confirm, tips that I get that I want to follow up on, and you know, then I can start making phone calls, because then the rest of the world is up. So I can start calling, you know, different people, find out what's going on. I can start texting people and stuff like that, because you can't really call and text people at 2 in the morning. You can, but they're probably going to be pissed off. So I'll call and make the calls and stuff like that. So then if big stories come in, you know, and it's big, and, you know, news director fired or something like that, I'll usually update that again that day. So that's a story it'll add into the day, and I'll add stories in if I think they're big or something like that. If not, I'll start flushing out and working for the next day. So it's constantly going. It's just it's a constant, Angel, stop. Hang on. There was a butterfly on the screen, and my cat decided to try and get the butterfly, and then of course her claws were stuck in the screen. So, what was I going to tell you? FTVLive is a 24-hour news operation. It just keeps going. The difference between this 24-hour news operation and your 24-hour news operation is this is it. It's just me. So I'm the guy that is doing all the stuff, writing all the stories, you know, posting the stories, and calling people back and everything else. I don't have an assignment desk that I can ask to do that. I've asked Roy to do it, but he won't do it. He's just the vice president of cuteness, and that's his job, just to be cute. So for me, it is a labor of love. Most days I get up and just love doing FTVLive. I do it, you know, 7 days a week, and I love it. There are days I get up when it's a job, and you know, usually that happens towards the end of the week. Usually on Monday, you know, I get up and, you know, I get going and stuff like that, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, and then by Thursday I start to get tired. There's no question I start to get tired, and it becomes more of a job on those days. But in the end of the grand scheme of things, it's a pretty good gig. People think when you're working for yourself, it's easy. And believe me, unless you've done it, you know that it's not easy. Oh, but you can do whatever you want whenever you want. Yeah, I can, but I still have, you know, I still have to get up. I still have to do the stories. I still have to make the phone calls and do all that. Now, can I get up and go to lunch and make my lunchtime whatever I want? Sure. I mean, sometimes if I'm hungry at 4 in the morning, I'll start making waffles at 4 in the morning. I mean, it's just that's the way it is. So you have to realize, basically, if you're waking up at 7:30, 8 o'clock, you know, I've been at work for 5 hours. And so that's how my day works. Now, I did do something in January of this year that I started putting my phone in Do Not Disturb mode at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So at 5 p.m., you know, people can still call, they can still text and everything, but it doesn't, that digital leash is taken off me for a little bit. And then I start, you know, wrapping up the day. I will be working. I'm always working past 5 p.m., but now I'm working in more silence and focusing on the next day and stuff like that. And then I start wrapping up the day and everything. And my goal is to, you know, try and get to bed around, I like to try and be asleep by about 8 p.m. I don't always achieve that. There's times when it's 11 or even midnight, and I'm still on my computer, still trying to flush something out for the next day or whatever. But you can realize if you go to bed at midnight and you're getting up at 2 or 2:30, that's not a lot of sleep. So that's kind of the life of a blogger that is now a vlogger, and that's going to wrap up this vlog. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of behind what happens at FTVLive, and that's going to wrap up this episode, and I will see you on episode number 5. Peace out.